This is Dawson Scholz from The Ongoing Concept, and you're listening to New Transcendence.
What is going on, everyone? David Voigtspeak here, and this week I sat down with Dawson Scholz, guitarist and vocalist of the band The Ongoing Concept. Great band, one of my favorite bands of the last few years. Solid State Records did an amazing job signing these guys. They just released their brand new album called Handmade, and we sat down to talk, had a few minutes to talk with Dawson of The Ongoing Concept, and I tell you what, guys, it was an amazing interview, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. This interview is brought to you by New Transcendence. Have to get a big shout out to Jerry Graham, my publicist, for giving me this interview, making this possible.
So tell me about the tour you're on. Let's just start with that.
It's the Handmade tour. It's with Dayseeker and Outland, and it's actually doing really good. Way better than, not way better, but it's definitely doing better than I thought it would. We've been averaging like 80 to 100, 120 people a night, so it's been really awesome. Everyone's really excited for the album, so it's been great. Really enjoying it. Yeah.
By the way, I love the album.
Thanks.
I'm so mesmerized by it. You guys are hands down one of my favorite bands to come out in the past few years.
Thanks, man.
I really love Saloon, and I just said, these guys, there's no way they could top this album, but they topped it with Handmade.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, so, I had a hard time thinking we could pull it off too. Like I always thought Saloon was a great album. I didn't know if we could do better, so I'm stoked to hear people like it.
Yes, sir. So talk about Handmade. Everyone is so fascinated by the way you guys went about the album, hand making the instruments. If you guys could hand make the microphones to use on the record for vocals, I'm sure you guys would have did that too. Talk about where does your influence come from that? Is that just something you guys just kind of thought about, say, wow, this is cool and different. I don't really have a lot of people do it.
We've grown up, just my family, my dad. We've always been about, like, doing stuff ourselves, like, if we see anything, it's always been the mentality, like, wow, that costs $200 to buy that. We could make that for $50. And, like, that mindset has always been something kind of with our family, and I don't know. We've built like stuff in the past, like we've built all of our guitar caps in the past, and built lots of other stuff, and I don't know. It just kind of seemed like something that would be really cool to do. I've always loved like doing albums in like a house or something. Like a lot of people have done that. Like Foo Fighters did a whole thing on it, and like doing their whole album in their garage and stuff. And like I'm always drawn to that type of thing. But I didn't want to do that necessarily, because it's just kind of like a lot of people have done that, and I want to do something like kind of completely different. And I guess like we've always been kind of intrigued by building instruments ourselves. So I don't know. It just kind of like forms. Like kind of, it'd been forming for a long time into that, and it just kind of happened the way it did. It was nothing like some crazy dream I had, or like some just crazy like, oh my gosh, do this. It never really came out of the blue. It was kind of always in the back of my mind. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. You guys pulled it off great. Everything sounds phenomenal on the record, and
thank you.
The drums, guitars, everything. You guys are very talented at the music, but also very talented at making the drums and the guitars. You guys should go into a line of work of actually making guitars and drums and selling them. That would be great too, right?
Yeah. It'd be totally cool. It just honestly, like, takes a lot of time. If someone wanted to pay us a bunch of money to do it, we'd love to do it. It's just with touring and stuff, it's always, like, difficult to really... We really don't have, like, the tools to make... Like, I love the drums. They look great, and they sound great, but, like, when you have to, like, meet a customer's demands, like, you have to make your product, like, a lot better. And our product is good, but it's, like, there's lots of dings and dents and, like, little mess-ups here and there. And when you're dealing with customers, like, they want a perfect, like, shell, a perfect drum set, and like we honestly don't have the tools or like the time or the means or the knowledge to honestly like make a production line of instruments that are like to the standards that like people would expect, unless they really want to have like a drum set that isn't like perfect and has a lot of like little blemishes and problems with it.
Sure.
I mean, it honestly comes down to the sound, and if the sound is great, fine. And that's what we got. It's just they don't, there's a lot of little things with them that a lot of people, if they were to get them in the mail or something, shipped to them, and they'd be like, "Whoa, why is there like this huge dent in this piece of wood here? What's going on?"
Yeah.
So, yeah, just little things.
Well, I'm a drummer myself, and I've always loved the way drums sound, loved the way drums look. You said you always liked the idea of recording in a house or something like that. The videos you guys have released, it's like you're recording in a living room for drums, and when you go downstairs or something like that, or upstairs, and the control room is there. Is that an actual studio, or is that somebody's house?
Yeah, we did all of it in my house. That's the studio we use. It's my studio, and it's up in our bonus room up in our house, and then we recorded drums in the living room, just because like there's high ceilings and wooden floors, and it just has a really nice reverb sound. And I've been using it to record like other bands for a few years now, and I really like the way the room sounds. So yeah, we did it all in our house as well. I didn't really think that was as important like to express, because there's so many bands that have done stuff in their own house. So, but yes, we did do it in that house for sure.
Okay. The production is very, very awesome, very great. Did you do the mastering of it too, or did you guys send it off to somebody to have it mastered?
We sent it off to someone else, but I wasn't like happy with it as much as I thought it would come back better than it did. Not that it was bad or anything, but I had already mastered it myself, and I kind of liked the way that I had mastered it more.
Sure.
I just felt like I understood the songs more. Like I knew how I wanted them to sound, and honestly, like after getting it back and kind of like listening to it between mine and his, I just was like, yeah, maybe like this person's masters like professionally and technically better or in some way, but if we were to have me do it, then at least at that point, the whole product is 100% us and every single aspect of the music itself. So I ended up mastering it at the end of the day, and I just wanted it to kind of be, from start to finish is us completely. So
yes, sir. It's a beautiful record inside and out.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate that.
From the lyrical content to the production. I'm a drummer, so I really pay attention to the drums. The snare is popping. The kick is it's
cool.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a drummer too. So we're all drummers actually, except for maybe TJ. But us three brothers are all drummers, and honestly, like in my opinion, the snare, the drums. If the drums don't sound good in any record, it's honestly hard for me, and I feel like it's hard for a lot of people to get into the music. It just drums are like such a huge part of any mix and any like record. So I think the drums turned out really good. I mean, they're almost 100% real, which is I'm pretty proud of, because I've relied on samples a lot in the past and stuff, and I tried to like stray away from that, because obviously that kind of defeats the purpose of Handmade. Like if we're going to be building all of our drums, what's the point of building them and then replacing them with samples later? It doesn't make any sense. So I tried to keep it as real as I could, and it actually, I kept almost all of it real, so I'm pretty stoked on that.
That's awesome to hear. It's using samples, drums. I mean, they make them sound so real nowadays. Sometimes it's hard to tell between the real and what's not real.
Yeah, it is.
It sounds very fake. Other times it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't tell if you guys use samples in the record or not. So, I'm a producer myself. I have my own studio, and if I can't even tell really, then I don't know how somebody else, somebody who doesn't have an engineer's ear. I mean, so you guys did a great job on that, firstly. So I love that.
Awesome. That's
Talk
good.
about the lyrical
Great.
content. You guys have always had some really, really awesome lyrical content to your songs, as well as just the overall sound. First of all, what genre would you really call the ongoing concept? I mean, a lot of bands, they say, I don't really like to call it anything other than music. What would you call it? A lot of people are saying southern rock, southern metal.
I just call it rock because I feel like we fit so many different styles that it's too broad to like put into one category. So I usually just call it rock or alternative or something. I never get very specific. I never want to be like, oh, well, we're the genre called the ongoing concept. That's super pretentious and egotistical. But people have told me that I should say that, and I don't. No, it's not. We're just a rock band. You know, we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We just never really confined to like sticking to one genre. So, yeah.
I love music. I mean, I absolutely love all kinds of music. I hear so many different genres and so many different times of life. I hear a little bit of AC/DC in this new record.
That's good. Definitely look for that.
I don't know if you guys have gotten this, but I've heard a lot of "I Set My Friends on Fire."
I heard that more with Saloon. I heard that was more of Saloon for sure, but I haven't really heard it with this one as much.
Yeah, on Saloon. I'm talking the vocals just in general remind me a lot of "I Set My Friends on Fire," and then you guys have been compared a lot to Maylene and the Sons of Disaster on that kind of southern style, and then you kind of have an old style screamo in some of your ways, in some of the ways you play, especially riffs on guitar and stuff. That's what I hear at least. That's just
cool.
That's what I love about ongoing concept is you guys bring a lot of different styles, and then of course you have it seems like the past few records you've had like one or two songs that are really like light and folkish kind of, or like a little bit of emotional with pianos and stuff, and that's just so cool how you guys incorporate that as well. So talk about the lyrical content of Handmade. One of my favorite songs is called Soul. Or Sold My Soul, I think it's the title. Just talk about the lyrical content of the record. Does it go along with the title of the record, or is it completely different?
Yeah, lyrical content, it wasn't really like centered around like Handmade necessarily. We just wrote songs about stuff that either like pisses us off or stuff that like needs addressing, or things that obviously we're emotionally attached to, like Soul, for example. That's kind of a different song because the song's honestly just there's like two parts to that song. It's just a story about this guitar player named Robert Johnson that claimed to sell his soul to the devil back in early 1900s. And we wrote a song about that just because it was kind of cool. Like, he was kind of one, and I feel like it kind of happens even more nowadays where, I mean, who knows? Maybe he did sell his soul to the devil. I don't know, but he also could have just said he did, and went on with this like kind of gimmick and lie, and it caught on. I mean, if he had never said that, he would have just been another guitar player. But because of that, he's kind of gone down in history as like this legend of a guitar player. And I feel like bands and people are kind of do that a lot these days, where they kind of make something up, or they just have a gimmick to either their band or themselves, and they kind of go on with this lie of who they are, and people kind of like get lost in this fantasy of what their persona is rather than like who the person is realistically. And it kind of like helps them, but it's just kind of weird how like that kind of like shock factor thing is kind of a thing. And yeah, I don't know. And then, we wrote that song too because we knew that a lot of people, a lot of Christians specifically, would get really offended and assume that we were like devil worshippers or something, or like something like that. And honestly, it bugs me to no end to know that people out there assume so quickly before even asking questions, before even reading the lyrics. They just hear "I sold my soul to the devil" and they automatically assume. And like we've gotten messages from people saying, "I canceled my pre-order because of you releasing the song. Like,
wow.
I'm not happy that you guys have changed to this." And I'm like, you do realize that the song is you just basically like proved my whole point of the song, that you automatically assumed that it was about us, because it's not, So
sure.
And other songs, you know, like Trophy is just about, like, trophy age, honestly. Everyone's, like, so, they just expect everything. There's no losers anymore. Everyone's a winner. It's really sucky to just kind of see people that try super hard.
Sure.
Get just as much credit as the guy that just doesn't do anything, you know? Like, you can be the laziest person and get just as much credit as the guy that's working his ass off.
Absolutely. I feel you there, bro.
Yeah, you know, there's just lots of, like, almost every song is just, like, about something that really, like, gets us going, like, emotionally or just heated, you know, argument, like, just in, like, an argument or something, and we like to express our opinions, and we never try to be, like, we're better than everyone else. Like, we never want to come across that way. Like, all these things, you know, we could honestly fault ourselves in at the same time, you know. So, but yeah, lyrical content, and we try to keep it pretty open-ended too. Like, a lot of our songs have been told, like, oh man, I thought this song was about a girl, and I'm like, hey, you can consider it about a girl if you wanted to, if it relates to that. But, you know, we didn't write it about that necessarily, but we wanted to kind of keep it open-ended so people would, like, take the lyrical content kind of into their own hands and, like, have a different story and, like, get emotionally attached to it in a different way. So,
perfect. You know, Solid State, they are an amazing label when it comes to music, when it comes to amazing bands. I mean, you think about this, you know, a lot of their fan base, a lot of their bands have been like these Christian metal bands. And so when you have a song that says, I sold my soul to the devil, there's going to be these closed-minded people who just jump on that because they don't understand that just because you're a band on a label that has been linked to Christian bands or a Christian label, and you may be even a Christian band yourself, or you're Christians yourself, doesn't mean that every song has to be about God, about, you know.
No.
I mean, I was in a band one time, and every member of the band was a Christian, but I heard one of the guitarists say, you know, just because we're Christians in the band doesn't mean we're going to be playing gospel songs, you know what I mean? And that's a good point to make, and I just don't think people have reached that point to understanding that just because you're a Christian in a band or on a Christian label doesn't mean you have to play songs about gospel and Jesus and stuff, you know what I mean? That's what makes music beautiful.
I mean, we don't write, like, there's only a few songs in our whole, like, repertoire of songs that are even about God in general. Like, I always go back to this quote that Switchfoot said, God died for my sins, not my music. I've always kind of stood by that because if I want to become a worship band, fine. I'll become a worship band and have a song about God in every song. But we're just a band trying to write music, have fun, write about real-life situations, and we're also on a Christian or, like, a label that has had a lot of Christian bands. Does not mean that we're a Christian band. We could be Christian members. That's cool. But, you know, like, I don't know why there's, like, almost this genre called, like, Christian metal. Like, I've never really understood it because you could take that so differently. Like, you know, there could just be, like, we're a vegan metal band. We're a vegetarian metal band. You know, like, why do you take these things and, like, put this huge genre around a religion or, like, something, you know? It's just, or, like, we're an animal activist metal band, you know? Like, you're just a band. You're a metal band, you're a rock band, you're whatever. You play music. Maybe your songs are about certain things, but it's weird. Like, and it kind of sucks sometimes to, like, have to keep telling people, like, okay, yes, we're on Solid State. That's awesome. There's been a lot of great Christian bands, a lot of bands that have come from that label, but just because we're on that label does not mean our music's going to always be about God. It is going to be about what we want to write about.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just closed-minded people. It's whatever. Like,
you're going to have people like that in life anyway.
It's never going to go away. It's just always going to be
especially in Christianity, dude. I mean, I've been a Christian all my life, you know, and there is some of the most judgmental people I've ever met have been people who claim.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So that, or people who are that or people who are atheists. Some of the most judgmental people I've met have also been atheists. So,
yeah. You know, it's left or right. There's extremists on all sides, and
absolutely, there's blame.
You just kind of gotta accept it. Yeah,
absolutely. To me personally, Ongoing Concept, all the music you guys play, it makes me want to crack open a beer, have a barbecue, or go mudding, because it just gives me that old Southern rock feel. And I'm down here, I'm deep South Florida, so I cling to that right away. You know, that Southern rock
awesome.
feel.
Yeah,
and
that's
cool. What it makes me feel. It doesn't make me feel like opening up my Bible, you know what I mean, stuff like that. It makes me want to party. Yeah, it makes me want to get
which is great. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what it makes you feel like doing. That's awesome. You know, I'm glad that our music is like looked upon that way. That's cool. That's really cool to hear.
Absolutely. I just got one or two more questions for you. I know your band's busy. You know, I know you guys are busy. These are quick ones, so you don't have to worry.
Okay.
First question is, what is your dream tour? Could be any band, past or present, musician, alive or dead. Maybe consists of 1 to 3 bands. What was a dream tour? And it could be a band, Ongoing Concept, would maybe want to play with one day too.
Honestly, right now, I think realistically, like, I want to be realistic with it, because I think that's kind of where I'm always like in that headspace, like, oh my gosh, imagine if we could get a tour with this band. You know, as a vulnerable like band and just releasing their second record, you know. As of right now, I think the dream tour that would be like so beneficial to us right now, obviously this would probably never happen in a million years, would probably be like Bring Me the Horizon, Beartooth, and Let Live or something. Just because those are 3 bands that are just killing it right now, and honestly, like, some of them have a lot of aspects that we have in our music, and I think that you know, just opening a tour like that would be just pinnacle for our band at this moment. So
all 3 of those bands have different kind of audiences.
Yeah, they do, and that would be great, because I hate tours that are just like metalcore, like all the bands are almost exactly the same. You know, it just draws the same crowd. I love tours that are like so different, because it just attracts like this crossover crowd, people that enjoy like all of those bands like a little bit, or they'll come for one band specifically, but they're also stoked on everyone else, and then they're like going to give your band a listen, because like, you know, they're kind of like an open-minded type people that are going to like be susceptible to like trying different genres and different types of music. So.
I remember when Blindside would start to tour with all these really, really heavy Christian bands back in the day, or not just Christian bands, but heavy bands in general, and people would go to see the other heavy bands and be like, wow, what is Blindside doing here? They're not like super, super heavy at all, and it's just like, that's what I lived for back then, you know? To go and see all kinds of bands, like one genre.
Yeah.
So,
you always try to find that one band that sticks out when it's all one genre, and I sometimes I like touring, being like the odd person out of the tour package, just for that fact.
Exactly, because you know, you always have that potential to gain more fans because you do stick out like that, and that's what I really love.
Totally.
So my final 2 questions, what are 3 things you cannot live without on tour? 3 things when you're on tour.
Probably, let's think about this, because we have a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily need.
Isn't that like every tour, though? You have a bunch of crap that you don't really need.
Yeah, I mean, we have this like sweet trailer with like a fridge and microwave and all this stuff. So there's lots of,
I'm so jealous
like,
right now. I want that.
I think honestly, the 3 things you could not, and this just might sound really funny, but you cannot live without having merch. If you don't have merch, you're basically screwed. You can't. You got to go on tour with like some sort of presentable clothes. If you go on stage with cargo pants that are baggy and you look like you live in the Idaho mountains, no one's going to really take your band seriously. You got to kind of keep up with the trends. You kind of got to look presentable. And probably just deodorant, because honestly, you're not going to shower very much, and you got to at least smell somewhat okay. Like,
dude, I've smelled some smelly pits in my day, given a lot of hugs.
Honestly, like, people are understanding. They understand that you haven't showered, but it still like is a turnoff for some people if they literally can't even get like within 5 feet of you. You know, even if they love your band. So
yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, totally. So we, you know, obviously we try to keep our hygiene as like close to, you know, acceptable as possible.
Sure. I mean, you guys aren't like Tim from Under Oath, not showering for 7 months at a time and smelling like...
Oh my gosh, no. No, we try to shower. We have a sun shower, actually, that we can bust out. If we absolutely have to shower, we haven't done it in a long time, we can always fill that thing up and do it at a truck stop or something.
I mean, those guys had a tour bus and everything, and that dude still didn't shower. What the crap?
That's crazy. I don't understand. Like, it's so easy. Just freaking so easy. I don't get it. Whatever.
All right, man. My final question. I always ask my bands this before we let them off the hook. Give you the opportunity to say thank you or say anything pressing on your mind, on your heart, to your fans, to people who supported you over the years. Anything you want. The mic is yours, and you can go whenever you want.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for, you know, listening to this interview. Thanks for being a big fan of our band, or even if you're a small fan. I hope you've picked up Handmade or Saloon or whatever. You know, give us a listen. Tell your friends about us. We're going to be doing lots of touring this next year, so keep an eye out for tour dates. And we hope to see you out there. So thanks, guys.